Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This is from Nicolas Scott. Greetings, everyone. So Fantastic Beasts 3 was fantastic. Easily the best of the new series, and the box office results were exactly what they predicted it would be, with a $43 million opening. However, it's still the lowest opening of the franchise by a big amount. Why do you think the movie failed to have more success considering it's so good?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Nicholas. And yeah, Ann and I just went to go see Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore for a second time. Ann loves this movie. I quite liked it. I liked it even more the second time around, to be honest. I think it's quite easily the best of the Fantastic Beasts films. And yeah, we talked last week that it was projected to rank around the $40 million mark. It came in at 43. They're saying I think it's going to end up actually being at about 44. So let's say that $44 million, whatever. I mean, better than Morbius did, better than a lot of movies did, but it is, there's no getting around it, by a decent amount, the lowest opening for any of the Wizarding World movies, right? So the question is, if it's the best one of the three so far, why does it make the least? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, we've seen this happen in movies a million times. When a previous installment is considered or badly received, the next one's going to make less. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, sometimes even if a movie's great, the next one may make less. But a lot of times, a higher percentage of the time, when the previous one is poorly received, less people are going to be excited about the next one, so on and so forth. There we go. It made less money. So on that level, not a surprise. But we also can't ignore that there is a bunch of different factors that had nothing to do with the movie itself that was poisoning the well a long time before this movie opened. And we've talked for months about it. Number one, there's the off-camera drama, right? There's the Johnny Depp stuff. So you got that whole thing about Johnny Depp. And, you know, and so that turned a lot of people off, that number one, they had him in these movies in the first place, or number two, that they took him out of it, or so whichever side you're on there, that pissed a lot of people off. Then you got all the drama about Ezra Miller, who has been obviously absent from all of the marketing and everything. I told you I was at an advanced screening for it at a special IMAX event, and they did a Q&A with all the cast. Yeah, except one. No Ezra Miller for that. No big surprise. So you've got that controversy surrounding it. You've got a lot of more extreme right-wing people who do not like the fact that this movie is positively portraying a gay romantic relationship with its lead characters. You got a lot of people more politically left that were really pissed off about some of the opinions held by J.K. Rowling about other issues. I mean, it's just, this movie was, no pun intended, a cursed child. This movie, did you like that one? This movie was a little bit of a cursed child, like going into it. It had a lot of things to work against. So that, combined with the normal industry thing of the previous one wasn't well received, it's going to have trouble, I'm not shocked. The big question for me is going to be, what is its legs going to be like? Can this thing, say, maintain like a 55, 56% drop-off going into week 2? If it can, good for it. That'll speak well for it. Does it take like a 70% drop off? Like we saw from Morbius, which is like a 76% drop, like one of the worst drop offs I've ever seen for a film. I think the quality of this movie, and then of course, a lot of questions coming out, do they move forward with another one? By the way, it should be pointed out here that as of this morning, not last night, but as of this morning, Fantastic Beasts has already made over $200 million worldwide. So while a lot of these things seem to be affecting the North American going audience, worldwide, it's actually tracking quite well. So I think, can they do another one? Because remember, the plan was for 5. And the question of can they do another one, I think it will come down to 2 things. Number one, what kind of legs does a show it can have in North America now that people have seen that the movie's actually pretty good? Because despite the fact that slightly less than half the critics like it, which I honestly don't understand, it's got like a 49%. The audience seems to be liking it. It's got an 85% with the audience. So the Harry Potter fans who are going. And I also raised some concerns about, look, listen, I never like to make an excuse about why somebody likes something I don't like or doesn't like something that I do. But I just said, when I read through a number of the negative reviews, again, and I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, I'm just telling you what they've said. Some of them seem to be talking less about the movie and more about the outside of the movie drama. And it's like, okay, so you kind of decided you were going to give this a negative review before you even saw it. Again, that's probably a very, very slim minority of people. But again, I'm just telling you what they said. I'm not trying to put words in their mouth. So there's a little bit of that, but it'll be interesting to see. So number one, what kind of legs will it have? Number two, how will this thing hold up internationally? Because if this thing gets in close to $400 million, guess what? They're going to make the fourth one. If it languishes at around 275, guess what? They're not going to make the next one. So I got to say, the projections were between 40 and 50. So 43, 44, 45 is exactly where they thought it would come in. It is the lowest it's ever done. It's interesting to see, especially thinks I think this was actually a pretty damn good movie. Hey guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, MeUndies. Now look, if you're anything like me, when you run out of underwear, the first thing you do is you just run to the big store and buy the cheapest pack you can, or you jump online and buy a big bag of some cheap underwear. And it's, you know, as long as it's not uncomfortable, it's fine. And that's the way life was for me. Until I got my first package of MeUndies, and I put on that first pair I got, and I was like, this is how good things can be when you got underwear that's not just not comfortable, but actual comfortable underwear, and that's what MeUndies delivers, and I will never go back. The MeUndies membership is literally designed to make your life easier with free shipping and returns on every order, saving on virtually everything they make, exclusive sales, and early access to their newest stuff. There's kind of no reason not to join. New prints drop monthly, so there's always something new to see, but you can always skip delivery for the month or even cancel anytime, no questions asked. And guys, right now MeUndies has a great offer for my audience. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off. And for a limited time, if you sign up for their free-to-join MeUndies membership, you get 25% off your first membership item. So to get 25% off your first membership item or 15% off your first order and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campea. That's MeUndies.com/Campea. Anyway, Chris, you see these results. What do you attribute it to? Are you surprised by it? What do you think went into it? And can this franchise go on now after the third film?
I really do think it will go on. I really, really do. I think this is going to have a slow and steady build at the office. Because in addition to all of the other issues we have going on here, the actors and their poor behavior, the different viewpoints, J.K. Rowling's comments towards the trans community, however you want to talk about why people aren't seeing this. We also had, Ramadan, Passover, and Easter this weekend? Celebrating all these things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point.
So this was not a great weekend to go to the movies either. People had a lot of family obligations and things like that as well. So I do think some more people see it. I think some folks too were waiting for maybe that first group of their friends say, hey, what did you think before I go in and see this movie? I think people are still on the fence too about whether or not they want to, give money to the film for whatever their personal reason is, right? But I do think we're slowly going to see butts and seats in the next 2 weeks. It's just going to be a slow and steady thing.
Rob, you had a chance to see the results of this. It came in right around where they projected it, but that's great. It's the lowest of any of the Harry Potter Wizarding Worlds. What do you think stands out to you the most as maybe being one of the contributing factors?
I think what Chris said about the holidays, I didn't even think about that, but it was a big holiday weekend for just about everybody. So that probably was a factor. And, John, this is what, the 11th Harry Potter movie? There's 8 regular Harry Potter movies, and now this is the third of the Fantastic Beasts movie. So it's the 11th film. I mean, that's a pretty good track record for any franchise. And like you pointed out, it's made almost $200 million for its opening weekend, or it opened in Europe, I think, a week before. So it's not a bomb, and I think, like Chris said, it's going to be slow and steady. And the Harry Potter franchise, they're not going to give up on it. Yeah. It's incredibly lucrative. And if they want to make, I guess they're going to make 5. They plan on making 5 of these. So I would imagine they'll keep going. And I haven't seen this movie yet. Like the second Fantastic Beasts movie, I bought it on Blu-ray and watched it after it was in the theaters. But after watching the final trailer, we talked about it on the show, I thought it looked fantastic. I mean, in terms of a fantasy epic, it looks like it checks all the boxes. It looked like it was wildly entertaining. Mads Mikkelsen looked great as Grindelwald. And I think people will discover this movie whether they don't go see it in the theaters. I think this will probably do very well on HBO Max. And I can't imagine them not making the next 2.
I mean, here's an interesting question, though, that I think should be raised. because, like I said, it's quite a good movie. And I'm not the Potterhead in the group, but it's quite a good movie. I was impressed by it. Jude Law was fantastic in it. Blah blah blah. But it does raise a question: can the Harry Potter franchise actually succeed without Harry Potter? I mean, and this is a question that's been brought up ever since the Fantastic Beasts was being introduced and stuff like that. But when you look at the resounding success of the HBO, it was HBO, right? The HBO Max
Yeah,
The reunion
Harry Potter reunion 20th anniversary, and the resounding success of that. You cannot help but ask the question again, now in light of what we've had here, despite all the valid reasons you guys pointed out as well. But is the one magic piece of pixie dust here the fact that you gotta have Harry Potter? Is that true? I don't know. Chris, what do you think? What's the prognostication here for this franchise without Harry Potter? Does it need him?
See, I feel like if you've created a great world, there's so many other stories to tell in it. I'm so hyped for the Lord of the Rings series. I'm so hyped for all of this. I don't need Bilbo in a story for me to continue to watch something. I don't need Frodo in a story for me to continue to watch something. I'm so invested in the lore of Middle-earth. So I feel like if you have some really, really magical world building here, there are other stories to tell. Do people maybe want that through line of seeing, these rises to power and how, Voldemort came into power and things like that? Sure. And maybe that's what we're building up to here, everything with Grindelwald and all those things that are alluded to in the books. I think it's fleshing out the rest of the world, and I think if it's done well, there's going to be an audience for it.
Rob, what do you think? Can this thing work without Harry Potter, or does it need Harry Potter's return?
No, I think absolutely what Chris said. These universes can exist beyond their core, their core origins. I mean, because look, this is about an era where Harry Potter isn't yet born. Hogwarts itself. I mean, I remember reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and I was like, I loved the idea of Hogwarts and the whole mythology they set up, and their world, the world of the Muggles, our world or whatever. And I'm like, this is really interesting. Like, how far back does it go? You could do stories about wizards in the Middle Ages, if you wanted to, I guess. So I think absolutely it's strong enough that it could succeed. I'll tell you this though, John, we are going to get another Harry Potter movie. Absolutely.
Are we going to get another Fantastic Beasts movie?
I think so. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're going to get
guys,
2. They're going to finish out that story.
Question is for you. What do you think about this? The third film has opened up. Unsurprisingly, it came in at expectations, but it is the lowest of any of the Wizarding World movies so far. Do you think they can continue on? What did you think about the movie itself? Do you think this is a franchise that can even happen without Harry Potter being in it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.